Welcome back to Fast Ship Performance then. My name is Tim Davies, and as you can see, we are back in the attack shack, dropping truth bombs on your personal battlefields, helping you to win the wars you are fighting. And the wars we are fighting right now in the United Kingdom is against weak men, weak leaders, weak women. It's not tolerated. Let's get into it. This is the kind of story that absolutely boils my blood then. Look at this. The police force blocks white applicants to boost diversity. West Yorkshire Police encourages black and Asian candidates to apply early to become police constables before jobs open up to others. Now, the reason they can do this under the Equality Act 2010, it's not illegal, guys. You think it is, but it's not. It's because they say, hey, we're not stopping anyone applying. We're just letting some people apply before others. The Royal Air Force did the same, except the Royal Air Force made the mistake of fast-tracking candidates through. It's easy to figure out whether one of these things is discriminatory or indeed racist if you just change the words in the title. Police force blocks black applicants. Well, there'll be riots on the street, wouldn't there? Absolute riots. But no, you can do that to white people and, well, we just roll over. The problem that we've got with this sort of thing, guys, and I had thought it had ended, but I didn't bank on how absolutely idiotic the senior element of West Yorkshire Police were. Obviously, beyond stupid to do exactly what the Royal Air Force did and think there won't be some repercussions. What they're doing here is marginalising minority communities by allowing them favour over white communities. They're saying, hey guys, you're not good enough really, you're not as good as the white guys, so we're going to give you a bit more opportunity there. What that does, it creates victimhood within those communities, and then we have a much more of a disparity between the way that ethnic groups react to each other in the United Kingdom. This fosters division. It does nothing to create inclusion. One of the UK's biggest police forces temporarily blocked applications from white British candidates in an attempt to boost diversity. This is social engineering again. It just absolutely destroys me. West Yorkshire Police is currently preventing white British candidates from applying for jobs as recruits to its police constable entry programs. However, underrepresented groups can lodge their applications early. It gets worse. Look at the top though. One of the issues I've got, guys, with a lot of my private clients is they say to me, Tim, I've got so many inputs coming in, I don't know where to start. And I say to them, you've got to forget about it. You cannot concentrate on looking after people in the Ukraine-Russia war, worrying about the Mexican border, trying to solve the Middle East crisis with Palestine and Israel. That's not your job. Back in the day, we'd have never heard of these things. We'd be out in the field crushing some grain up or whatever, or doing something with the wheat, or marshalling some horses around. And the only thing we'd be worried about is what the master of the lodge was going to say to us when we got back. Now we're introduced to the whole world's problems. So here's the answer. Get ground news. Here's the taskbar at the top of Chrome. Honestly, there is an offer for this. I'll leave you with a 60-second video in the middle of this. But what ground news does is it just chops out all of that. You can see this one here. The left aren't really concentrating on this whatsoever because they don't want to highlight the fact that they're actually being racist towards white people. And again, what happens then is the government goes, well, you know what, people have noticed things happening. We better do something about it. So Tim put a video out, didn't he, about a month ago, where he actually said about the barber shops, and we're going to look at this in a minute, being a front for money laundering for foreign criminal gangs. That's what I said because I meant it as well. And that video was reasonably popular. Police raid barbers and vape shops suspected of being fronts for crime gangs. You can always tell when the party is putting some narrative into the community because they write it like a kind of story, like a novel. If you read this here, police officers smashed through the back doors, stand by, of a bright modern barbershop in the market town of Shrewsbury. A market town, not London. It could happen to any one of us. Look how we're solving crimes in the rural areas. Inside, they immediately detained two men who we are later told are Kurdish asylum seekers. Both men are later released. It is the first of 6 raids that day where police seized thousands of pounds in cash and illicit vapes. I've spoken about it in another video, guys. I'll show you that video clip in a minute. But we're going to go on to someone who has absolutely no idea about this sort of thing. Kirsty Alpsop, who did all those kind of programs about how to change a house up or go and buy a house. The article really shocked me. I'm sure many will say that is naive, whilst others will and have said that even commenting on it is bigoted. What world does this woman live in? But either way, this level of criminality in plain sight is unacceptable. Yes, what would be more acceptable to Kirsty is to have that criminality hidden away so she hasn't got to see it in her metropolitan Westminster bubble. We understand that. It's no difference from the government. We recognise it. I've said on the bottom here, come on, we've known this for ages. The dark secret behind Turkish barbers taking over your town. That's why you see 4 or 5 of them. Click that video if you want to have a watch of it, guys. It does explain why they're here. It also explains how they launder money. And it also explains why the government doesn't want to do anything about this, because if it does do something about it, it doesn't actually get the tax receipts after the money has been cleaned.
Ground News have decided to sponsor this video. They are good people, and when they said, can I sponsor you, Tim, I was like, hell to the yes, because I used their product already, and I said, what's going to be a great deal for me is going to be a great deal for you guys as well. 40% off the Vantage plan, top tier plan. Let's head over there now. So what Ground News does, it brings all these news articles in from across the political spectrum. It looks at the biases on them as well. So if I was to scroll to this article here, which is about the UK economy expanding by 0.5% in February, higher than expected, and I clicked on it, we can see straight away that there's 16 news sources that have reported on it. It is a leaning left. Why? Because we've got a left-wing government, haven't we? So maybe the right aren't reporting on it too much. And you can see there's about 6 in the centre. Now, what you can do then, pretty much, 55% centrist, kind of a centrist article, you can then have a read, have a bit of a summary here if you want to, and then you can go and pick your favourite paper down here anywhere you want, and you can click on that link. It then takes you across to that paper, and if you can see at the very top, you've also got a taskbar on Chrome that also helps you see what is going on. You have a read of it if you want. There you go, to all kinds of different papers. And you can also look at the factuality of it. How factual are these things that are coming out? And also, who owns those papers, right? So you know when you're being kind of like hoodwinked. Ground News is the only way that I get unbiased news. And the offer today is 40% off the Vantage plan. It's a good plan. I use it myself, about £7 a month, guys. Get after it.
Sadiq Khan then, the absolute weasel he is, and you know how I feel about Muslims being in the government or power positions within this Christian land. I don't need to go on about it anymore, but look, he blocks US consultancy firm from Transport for London contracts over diversity clash. This really kind of gets to me here. Accenture bid for a 50 million marketing campaign vetoed after ditching its DEI policy. People picked up diversity, equity and inclusion because it suited them at the time, because that's how they made money. Environmental, social governance policy pushed by BlackRock, Fidelity, all those kind of firms. That's why they did it. Now Trump's come in the US and he's gone, right, you guys are on my radar. They've all binned it. Transport for London's blocked the US consultancy giant that scrapped diversity policies from working on its advertising campaign. The local government body, which is controlled by Sadiq Khan, said it had vetoed Accenture's bid to work on the Transport for London marketing campaign, saying the consultancy's new stance on diversity, equity and inclusion clashed with its own approach. Ideology from the left. If you do not think about them, you do not eat. That's what they're saying. If you do not think the same as they do, you do not get paid any money to go and feed your family. I've been saying it for years, guys. This is the problem with the left. They're ideological. Doesn't sound very inclusive to me, does it? You just have to think the same way they do. They don't really want diversity at all, unless it's about skin colour. That's not yours. And of course, Barclays did the same thing. It abandoned their DEI targets after pledging unwavering commitment just a few weeks ago. Now, I said this at the time as well. Bank scraps diversity policies in the US after Donald Trump rails against woke corporate America. These men absolutely grip me. And I'll tell you why. These are the weasels. Absolutely, they knew exactly what they were doing. They were pushing diversity when it mattered to them. Under the Biden administration, these guys made loads of money. They have no integrity, zero integrity, have no soul whatsoever. I've said it before. Barclays scrapping diversity targets at its US business just months after the bank's bosses pledged its enduring and unwavering commitment to DEI policies. The overhaul will see Barclays drop its diversity, equity and inclusion, just as Meta did under Mark Zuckerberg ambitions in the US after Donald Trump declared war on woke and corporate America. I haven't even spoken about the US military yet, and I will speak about the US military, because we need to talk about the US military, the way it is now operating under Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump in America. They are focusing on meritocracy and excellence, what we should be focusing on in the UK, but we're not, of course, because we have weak leadership who are grifting for the next promotion up the ladder, so they get a little bit of pension, and the damage they do in the process, they do not care, because it won't be their ship they're driving when they are out. Then they can come and they can complain about the military when they have left. And I'm going to leave you with this now, guys. Exhausted Germany could use emergency EU powers to block asylum seekers. We can't do that in the UK, unfortunately, because we are tied in by the European Court of Human Rights, the Human Rights Act, and many, many other things that really need to be overthrown. And the reason we are so tied in is because what Blair did from 97 with basically taking all the methods of actually doing this into things like quangos and away from the actual parliament. It was absolutely the most disrespectful thing. Now, to undo that takes a concerted effort of planning, just as Trump did before he came in, and he had to undo all these policies. You can't just come in and start. You need to plan before you enter office. Christian Democrat MP then said the new government could invoke Article 72 to generally reject asylum seekers. Angela Merkel has done so much damage to Germany. I think she will go down in history as probably the worst thing that happened since, shall we say, the 1930s. We've got people that have come into Germany. We've got people that have come into the UK. We know it, who do not have the interests of these countries at heart. They do not live under the same rules, the values, the structures. They are not Christian people. Germany's exhausted by mass migration and may need to use emergency powers to turn away asylum seekers. So very quick video, guys, about the weakness of leaders and also about the weakness of people like ourselves in our communities, all right? What I've said then for many, many years. Fitness, family, finance and fuel. I'm not a political man. I don't believe in it. I'm not joining Homeland, Reform, Conservatives or Labour. You go and do that. You have a great time. You go and sit in those parties and see if that makes a difference. Ask yourself, has it made a difference before? Has it made a difference? Or will the difference come from you as an individual and how you are in your community, how you are as an example to other people? That's what you should be doing. Now, I have private coaching clients and I've said this before to them as well. What matters is you and your community. Build it from the ground up. Don't worry about this too much. Get your ground news 40% off and it will stop you reading all the rubbish news that's just taken up your bandwidth. It will allow you to align yourself with the stories that matter to you and that you're interested in, and you can just follow and actually don't worry about things you can't change, but focus on yourself. Make sure that you're eating the right thing, you're getting a good sleep, guys. You're not polluting yourself with bad things in your mind. We are a positive channel here. I'm just bringing you stuff to say, what the hell's going on? Worry about things that are in your immediacy, as it were. Guys, I'm going to leave it there anyway. Appreciate it. Oh, I'm using a new microphone, a Sennheiser. Let me know how it sounds to you. If it sounds better than that headset I was wearing, you know what I'm saying? Hit the comments. I really appreciate it, guys. Tim Davies, Fast Jet Performance.